You're listening to Living Out Loud with my mom, Michele Flamer. Yep, she's a flamer and proud of it. Get ready to learn about queers in your communities doing great things every week.
Hey, welcome back to Living Out Loud. We're where we explore what it really means to live, lead, and connect with authenticity. I'm your host, Michele Flamer Powell, and today's conversation is rooted in something deeply human: the need to feel safe, supported, and seen for who we truly are. I'm joined by Bertie Gardner, Program Director at LGBTQ Saves, an organization dedicated to creating safe spaces and life-changing resources for LGBTQ plus youth. Bertie's work centers on community building, trust, and meeting people exactly where they are, especially those navigating challenges like identity, acceptance, and belonging. With a background in communication, advocacy, and grassroots leadership, Bertie has spent years helping empower young people through connection, education, and access to support systems that can truly change the trajectory of their lives. In today's episode, we're talking about the real impact of safe spaces, what it takes to build trust with vulnerable communities, and why this work is not just important, it's urgent. This is a conversation about resilience, advocacy, and the power of showing up for others in a way that matters and the way that you matter. So let's get into it. Bertie, I am so happy to have you here.
No, I was like, that intro is so great. I was like, I know
I'll
that I,
text it to you.
yeah, I was just like, I know, I was like, man, I never get to hear that so often. So I'm like, please send it so I can like post it somewhere.
Heck yeah, you can pimp out and say, look, host of Living Out Loud, it's a good reminder, right? Of like all the good you do, and sort of encompasses your whole reason for being here on earth.
Yeah.
Like this is your mission. But before we get into LGBTQ saves, I really want to talk about where you came from and a little bit about your background story, your potential coming out story, anything else you'd love to share that sort of, helps the audience know a little bit more about you.
Well, like you said, I'm Bertie. Yay.
Yay.
LGBTQ Saves is based in Fort
And your
Worth.
pronouns are
My pronouns are they, them,
perfect.
the fabulous nature of Bertie Gardner. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah, I was like catching me after an 8 to 5. My brain goes silly, but I love it. I'm ready for it. Uh, I'm based in Fort Worth, Texas right now. Uh, I think we're like at the 11th largest city in the country, getting there at least. Like Fort Worth has grown. But let's see, where am I from? Because I feel like I live places like 10 years at a time and then I move. So it's like next year is 10 years in Fort Worth. And I'm like, am I moving? So I was born in Early, Texas, which is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. If you're familiar with it, we're next to Brownwood, known for meth, um, meth and religion. Um, but then like went to Nederland, Texas, which is more along the Louisiana border, Port Arthur, Beaumont. Then landed in Stephenville, where I did high school and college. So I feel like I've kind of been in little pockets of Texas my entire life, always
Sure.
on the smaller side of things,
Yeah.
with Fort Worth being the largest place I've ever lived in. And even then, people are like, that's not that big. Yeah, but born and raised Texan, seventh generation, like I said earlier, that is my mom's big excitement clause right now. It's like we're seventh generation Texan because she's on ancestry kick, which is really cool. Getting to learn about like where all we've come from and things like that. But I
You
guess
made up of like all kinds of different countries and stuff.
uh a lot of the white ones.
Guess
So like
what? Guess what my ancestry said? 100% Ukrainian Jew.
oh, is that correct?
Percent. Nothing else. That's it.
Ukrainian Jew.
Hmm.
I got like Scotland, Germany, the cold
Hey,
state,
you got the
cold
fun
areas.
places.
Yeah. I was
Really
like,
good food too.
yeah, and I was like, at least we have ancestral excuses for our alcoholism. So
Oh, snap.
no, it's jokes we can make now. We
You
couldn't
are
make those jokes
punchy.
before.
I like you at after 5.
I know, right? I'm ready. Well, I mean, like, it's also like, it's fun to be on podcasts. Like,
Yeah.
I have fun listening to them all the time. So I'm just like, oh, how do I be fun? And like,
I have a feeling you're just fun.
oh, I think so. I think so. But yeah, like I work at a university here in Fort Worth, and so tomorrow is our last day of the semester. So you're also getting me post semester, like we're almost
Wow.
there. I'm out of fun ideas. Um but anyway, but I like to say, like, most of the time that I'm from Stephenville, I do feel like my high school, college life is kind of the more defining moments of my time. So I
Yeah.
do feel like I grew up in Stephenville. Kind of, that's probably the more recent version you'll see of me, pre coming to Fort Worth. And I don't know, like, I found a lot of myself in Fort Worth, but let's just say I'm from Stephenville, right? Um, well, now I've kind of like lost my train of thought. There's questions. Where am I from? Am I coming out, being queer,
Yeah.
being fabulous?
That's right.
Because surprisingly, I was not always this bubbly person. Oh my God. I think like if anyone were to listen to this podcast that went to high school with me, I don't know if they would recognize me. One,
Wow.
physically, a lot of them do not recognize me
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because a lot has changed since I was in
Yes.
high
It's
school.
fantastic.
But yeah, because I was so introverted and very shy, wasn't really the person to speak up in class. If I had to raise my hand, that was the worst day of my life, is to be perceived. And it's been really interesting to talk, to think about it in terms of who I am now, because like in high school, it was always like I'm emo, alternative, I'm shy, this is just who I am. But it's like thinking back to little specific moments to where it's like, oh, this is how trauma affected me, this is how gender dysphoria affected me, even if I wasn't making those connections then and there. Because it is one thing for like my brother, for example. We were talking about it a year or two ago, and he lives in Japan now with his family, also military. He's a Marine. But we were talking about it, and I was saying, like, oh, there's some bullshit going on in Texas. It was during one of the legislative sessions, and that's when I am keyed in to everything that's coming out, especially as if it's impacting.
How old are you right here? How old
Oh,
are you during this time?
during
No,
this
during the time. Yeah, during the time you're telling the story.
Oh, okay. Well, I am 33 years old now. I actually just had my birthday a few weeks ago.
Happy
Yay.
birthday.
And so like a few years ago, I probably was like 30, 31. But,
Okay.
I'm talking to my brother and I'm like, this is all the anti-trans bullshit that's coming up. I'm feeling so frustrated. And he was like, sympathizing with me and empathizing as my brother will. And he was just like, I really don't understand this anti-trans stuff because I can tell you like how different you've become since coming out as trans. And it's not just, the facial hair and the deeper voice.
Yeah.
Uh, but he's like, I've gotten to know you so much more because
Oh,
now you're more present. I can tell like when you like, I'm always there, but he was like, you were more there, like, right, you're more expressive, you're talking about stuff that bothers you. And so like thinking about my high school, I'm just like, hmm, that's an interesting thing just to kind of think about. um but it's like going through high school, Stephenville is red. It is a college town, so there are little pockets of
mhm.
blue when you can find them, usually on the college campus. But going to high school in Stephenville, Texas, you couldn't wear rainbow because they deemed
Mhm.
it gang activity. if you were a same-sex couple and you were caught, with public displays of affection, a lot of people would tell you that they punish the same-sex couples a little bit harder than they would the heterosexual couples. And I would say, like, we didn't like being trans wasn't really discussed at Stephenville High School. I think the one thing I can remember kind of like being exposed to transphobia during that time is because I had a classmate whose parent was transitioning, and she was very visible coming out as a trans woman later in life. And that was one of the things of, oh, so and so's mom is trans, it's weird, and it's not right. They would call her names all the time, and I would just kind of think in my brain, I'm like, I don't really understand what this is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really have like a lot of the language that I'm able to use today to kind of describe how I was feeling, but it's very much ingrained in me from like high school, even middle school and elementary school, that being gay is not okay. And never really discussing that there's other options, right? That you don't have, like, if you're born a girl, you have to stay a girl kind of thing. Uh, and so that's the kind of like messaging that I'm growing up with and things like that. But it wasn't until I got to college that I don't know, it's weird because we always say representation matters, right?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
is like when we see ourselves on the screen, it just has this sense of self, right?
Yeah.
So because I would say like I didn't really have my language until college, but like in high school there were a few pieces of media that I found really important to myself that did talk about the trans experience, but only
Mm-hmm.
as trans women. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. I never would have thought of this. But I didn't think of it in terms of myself. To me, it's like, oh, to be trans is if you're born a guy and you become a woman. There is no
Mm-hmm.
equivalent experience for the other way around. So I think it's really funny when I'm reading books like Luna, which talks about from the point of view of a young woman whose older sibling is transitioning into a woman and sneaking out of the house to be herself, and watching movies like Trans America where a
Yeah.
trans woman is having to reconnect with a son from a one night stand that she finds out about just randomly. And I'm like, okay, I have these experiences, like that's so cool. And I'm like, I don't know, like I just feel at peace with it. I'm like, okay, this is someone who is changing who they are. Like I was pretty pro LGB even without this, but then
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm a trans supporter, ally.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
I know. It's just like you asked earlier if I was a lesbian before I came out as trans, and I was just like I was an ally before I came out as. So it just sorry, it made me think about that.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
don't apologize. I love this all. I mean, I think it's really important, and I think you bring something unique to the table because my perception of F to M is that you were probably kind of a mask presenting female in a sense, you know what I mean? And like and more and like living in a lesbian relationship or being around a lot of women, even if they were butch or femme or whatever,
mhm.
a spectrum of that, but that identified as lesbian, that were cis women. And so that's just my perception. Like,
Yeah.
so I like that you are speaking up and teaching me, and maybe, a few listeners, I'm sure, that are like, oh, someone could just feel masculine in their bodies. Like you felt like, however that is for you. I'm saying it in such a general sense.
Oh yeah,
So
no, yeah.
please, I hope I don't offend you. But it's like, I think it's important to understand that it's all on a spectrum. Like you could just be living your life. Maybe you dated women, maybe you didn't. It doesn't really matter. But in my only perception was that this was the steps. Like, okay, you're a cis woman, then you're lesbian, and you're a little bit more butch, and
Mm.
that's cool, you know, mask presenting, whatever. And now I'm going to be non-binary, and now I'm going to really take some measures and really become, you know, whether it's taking testosterone every day and upping that dosage so that the
Yeah.
facial hair grows in, you guys become so handsome. And you know, that's like what I thought the steps kind of were, but you're kind of telling me it does. Yeah, exactly. It's like all over the place. So I mean, I just think that's great, and I really this is why I love the
Yeah.
freaking podcast. Like,
Yeah.
I get to meet Bertie today, and Bertie is just Bertie. Like, you
Yeah. I'm
are
just
your
working along.
own identity. It's like there's no gender in the sense of, you
Mhm.
know, like or sexuality in that. It's like you're just you, and I vibe on that.
Yeah. I was like, some of my friends call me a cryptid, and I'm like, I will gladly accept this.
Oh my God,
Uh,
I love that. Encrypted?
yeah, like a cryptid, like Mothman, or like,
That is cool.
yeah. But yeah, but it's just interesting to think about because, like, I don't know, like, I guess, like, I would call myself bisexual. Women were
Okay.
very scary to date. They are still very scary to date.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, because I do have a lot of friends who are like, they did follow the lesbian to trans mask bullet
Mm-hmm.
train or whatever.
Yeah.
And so,
Yes.
so like, I understand it, but I was like, no, that's not how I feel. And I think that's what made it difficult, right? Because in some pieces of media, you see this, and like, if it's the majority experience, then it's like, okay, cool. But then I think that has made it harder for some people to find out who they are. Because, like, so like, I was like, I guess, more openly bisexual in high school, mostly around my friends. I wasn't really dating, so I wasn't like telling my mom, like, oh mom, I'm dating so and so.
Right.
My sister came out, I think, in middle school. It was kind of like, we moved to Stephenville. She started hanging out with friends, and then like a year later, she was like, "Hey, I'm a lesbian," and I'm like, "Oh my god." Gasp. But she was very, like, I don't know, it's one of those things where she always had a boyfriend. You know how little kids have boyfriend
Yep.
girlfriend.
Yes.
So it was very interesting to see her shift to that. When I was like, yeah, my sister is always good with the boys, I'm not good with anybody. So it was just interesting. But like, so my sister was already out. She broke the pathway forward, I guess. um and I was like, okay, cool. um and then I think my brother, I'm the oldest of five. I don't think I introduced myself as that. So there's me, my brother Robert, my sister Marie, my brother Matthew, and then my baby brother Julian. Marie is a lesbian, and Julian is a gay man. So it's like, once she came out, we all started being like little rainbow sheep. It's like, you can't be the only one. It's all of us or none of us. Um, but yeah, it was just like, it wasn't really until I got to college, and like, towards the end of my freshman year, I meet this person that I find really interesting. They flirted with me, and like, the minute they like, it was at a fundraising table because I started a Quidditch club, and we were trying to raise money for equipment and stuff like that.
Harry Potter fan.
Yes, that was my first
Love it.
tattoo, and it's a regret a little bit. So, so the highest rate of regret is for Harry Potter tattoos. Anyway, but but this person, I met them at a fundraising table, and like, they kind of flirted with me, and like, I was like, nobody has ever flirted with me. It went over my head, and then they walk away, and my friends are like, this person was flirting with you, and I'm like, do I fish out the number that they put in our, because like, it was one of those, guess how many jelly beans there are, leave your phone number,
Yes.
we'll call you if you're close. And so I was
Yes.
like, do I dig it out? Was that an invitation for me to text? Like, what is this? Like, what are the rules? I don't know the rules.
Aw, I love it.
Um, but we end up going on our first date. We date for a little while, and then they share with me, I think I'm trans, and I'm going to start transitioning to a woman. And I was just like, well, I've seen Trans America. I know what's going. Don't say that's your only thing, but But I was like, okay, I think I can accept this, and I'm willing to see where our relationship goes. And so we like, she starts transitioning. We have another girlfriend. We're in a polycule who is also trans, and just listening to their experiences, I think is really where it starts to click in my brain that what I have been like feeling and what I have been kind of experiencing in my own way is not normal teenage stuff.
Right, right.
Because like especially when like puberty really hits and you start growing certain things, you start experiencing monthly cycles, things like that. I was just like, those were like probably the worst parts of my like growing up. Just
Yeah,
being this feeling of deep shame, this feeling of just body disconnect during the same time of month every month. And kind of like, hearing from your girlfriends where it's like, oh, we all hate this, ha ha ha, being on your period sucks. And it's like, okay, so what I'm experiencing is normal. But then talking with both of my girlfriends, and it's just like, oh, what you're explaining for yourself as someone who's transitioning to a woman is very much how I feel as someone who is a woman, and I hate this. I hate everything about this.
hmm,
And I'm just like, I don't know, but during that time is when I'm like, okay, like what am I then? Like I'm hearing from these people that what I'm experiencing is not normal as a cis woman, that it could be indicative of something else. And so I started kind of doing a little bit more research. I think like around that time, I started going to like the Gay Straight Alliance at my college. And it was a great source of support for not only myself, but my girlfriend. That's where she wore her pretty dresses on campus. And it was like, so it was so exciting to go and support her. And then like being connected with people who are kind of more of where I'm feeling. And so I think that's when I started really learning about the terms non-binary, being a trans man, being like what being transgender actually is. And that
yeah.
was something that the Gay Straight Alliance talked a lot about. And I was like, oh my God, I'm learning so much. And so I think like, let's see, my sophomore year, my second semester, I started trying out more of different things of like, well, I think I'm going to go by Lars for right now. And that was the first name that I chose, um, which comes from my middle name. But like I was going by Lars.
I'm just sorry. I'm just picturing Lars. Like I'm looking at you and I'm like, Lars wears a sweater tied around his neck. You know what I mean?
No,
Like with
I was a
his
cooler
hair
Lars.
pulled back. Yeah, it's like a refined gentleman, like and not like a 20-year-old, some type. I don't know, but it's a great name. But it just was a fun visual. Like
Oh,
when you said Lars, because I don't know, Bertie really feels like you,
oh,
honestly.
thank you. Yeah, Lars had a faux hawk and wore a leather
Oh.
jacket,
Oh,
and
I may need to see pictures of
I
Lars.
know
That's
I'm gonna
cool.
have to like look through and see where I can find. Um, but yeah, so I was Lars. I was going by he, him, and I was like, okay, like I'm really getting into this, and I really feel that this is more true to myself. But I think I don't know, like when you're really getting into something and it just you fast forward it a lot. I think that's kind of what I did to myself, where I was like, I instantly found a box and I put myself in it. And then I started doing all these things. And like, I don't regret it at all. Like, it was a social transition point. I didn't start anything, I was just feeling stuff out. Um, but then, like, towards the end of that semester, I kind of like got caught up in a lot of stuff. And I was like, I think I need to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. Like, I love where I'm going. I think I'm like figuring out who I am, but this is not really the direction that I'm wanting to go through. And so, but my friends were very supportive. My girlfriend was
You're
supportive.
very emotionally intelligent at this young age. I mean, really, when you're going through this, I mean, you are really intentional and it's
Yeah.
special. I mean, it really is. That's awesome.
I like to joke that I have a fear of commitment. um, and I was like, I'm bisexual, I'm non-binary, I'm polyamorous. There is nothing
Yep.
about me.
Well,
But
you committed to all of that.
I know, right? That's the only thing. But it is one of those things where I was so worried about making a mistake somewhere and not being able to take it back. So like it was a very slow rollout of who I was telling, who was I sharing it with, cuz like I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell anyone in my family. This was solely with certain friends on my college campus that I felt safe with. And so but yeah, so like was kind of like feeling it out. I will say, like my girlfriend at the time did break up with me because she was like, I don't think I'm attracted to masculinity. And I was like, okay, that really sucks. Thank you for building me up. We're still really good friends now.
Sweet.
We got back together at some point in college. Um, but like it did take a moment for me to kind of recover from that because I'm like, oh my God, I fucked up my life. I had this great partner who now I'm not like a perfect fit for anymore. And like I really had to sit with that for a while because I didn't want it to be a thing of I'm only trans to be with this person. I'm trans because I'm me. And I think that really helped me figure out like, okay, what am I comfortable with? Like visually, what am I wanting to do? And like even talking with a friend who was like, hey, are you taking all this back now that you're broken up? And I'm like, no, but I am taking a moment to reflect on who I am because I do feel like I fast forwarded that part of my life because I thought that's what my girlfriend wanted.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I think it was like I kind of like backed off on it a little bit, but I was still kind of like did not want to be she heard or anything like that. So I just kind of, I don't know, it felt like I kind of just more so kept doing what I wanted to do, but did it with more of me
Look at it
in
like that. I
mind.
think it's you were working through being as authentic as you can be
Yes.
and being your whole self. And that's what living out loud is all about, right? Like, being your whole authentic self.
No, definitely. And I think it was like we took a little bit of a break and then we came back together at some point, but it was like maybe 2 semesters later where I felt comfortable enough to be like, okay, well this is who I am. I'm going to use like I started using the term non-binary a little bit more and I was like this feels a little bit more closer to what I want. I don't want to be perceived as a woman, but being a man, I've been in those bathrooms, y'all. It's gross. But being a like the neither label really felt like me. Um, and so I came out to my team because I was on the Quidditch team, and they were actually the first group that I came out to as non-binary. I had kind of talked about it a little bit with our Gay Straight Alliance, played around there a little bit, but it was really like my team in Quidditch who received me as like for the first time. They were like, okay, you're wanting to go by Bertie, we got you. You want to use they, them. We're going to struggle a little bit, but you are still our friend. We still want to be on this team with you because Quidditch was like the way that I made friends in college.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so, like, that to me was probably the most defining moment of, okay, these people accept me for who I am, and I'm feeling really good about myself. So, we're going to move forward.
Wait, what did you graduate college with? What did you go to school for? Communications?
Yeah, so I have my BS to BS.
Nice.
So Bachelor of Science in Communication Studies with a focus in public relations and event management.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, so what was your first job out of college, I mean?
I actually worked for the college that I graduated from.
Yeah.
I started off in enrollment management, which are the people who go out, or my job was going out to different community colleges and recruiting
Hmm.
people to transfer to my school. So
So queer people do recruit.
yes, I mean, like, oh my God, no.
Just kidding. But
No, I never
it's
thought
funny
about
because
that at all. Oh my
right?
gosh.
Isn't that fun? Like the way you said it, you walked into that one.
I know, damn it. That was such a good one. But I guess like fast forward, I graduated. I think it was my junior or senior year that my mom found out. And like, I don't know, I would say like me and my mom, I think, have a really good relationship now, but we weren't as close. And I think there was a lot of fear of being rejected. Cause that's like one of the biggest fears, right? Is coming
Yeah.
out like in any point. Like I've been really lucky that my family has stood with me, but anytime it was like, okay, it's time to tell a family member, that was the most gut-wrenching thing. Like I didn't tell my grandma Lala for 5 years, and so like I just didn't say anything to her. I was like, I 100% know that she is going to reject me. I am not going to tell her, and I'm just not going to go around as much because I'm transitioning. She's going to notice that there's a difference. And if she tells me that I'm going to hell or something like that, I am not taking on that emotional burden. And then we run into like my brother Robert, who is the second in line. She's at his graduation, and I'm at the graduation. And I'm kind of just standing there awkwardly because by that time I have grown some facial hair. I
Mhm.
started like medically transitioning back in 2019. So I think what he graduated 2021, 2020. I'm not good at math. But anyway, but I had started growing the fuzz. My voice was noticeably deeper.
Yep.
And so like I see her and I'm like kind of frozen. I'm like, I don't know how she's going to react. Maybe she's forgotten about me because she's at that age. But no, she comes over, she hugs me. She's a crier. Anytime I see her, she starts crying because she's a very emotional Hispanic woman. Um, and she's just like, Mijo, I've missed you. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because that was like her first instinct is she called me Mijo. And I'm like,
That's right. The masculine
yeah,
pronoun of, basically baby,
yeah,
in a sense. That's
yeah,
very, very sweet. I love that for you.
thank you. Um,
When when did you know you wanted to like what kind of job were you looking for when you first were you thinking, I'm going to get into queer nonprofits? I want to really just I mean, we know you want to be yourself by the time you graduate college and when did you know like that career trajectory?
I want to say like my junior, senior year of college, to be honest. So I got into communication studies a little bit late. There's a fly in my room. But I got into it a little bit late. So I started off as a social worker, decided within the first year, I don't have the like ability to cut through so much BS. Like that is just too much red tape. I was like, I can't do that, which is funny because I like to think I'm social work adjacent now anyway. But anyway,
You are kind of, you're right.
yeah. So I kind of just like floated, and then I was doing a lot of stuff with the Gay Straight Alliance. Loved my Quidditch team, loved my Gay Straight Alliance, but I was planning the Gay Straight Alliance events. I was doing the advertising, the marketing. Like I really wanted people to know about GSA because it was such a great influence on my life. And one of my I never had her as a professor, but she was just like a mentor that I had on campus. Dr. Tanter, she saw me in the library cutting out my little flyers, getting it all ready, and she was like, Bertie, I've noticed you really like to do this kind of stuff. Do you have a major? And I was like, no, I really don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm just trying to get through class. Maybe I'll get a degree. I don't know. And so she told me to go talk to Dr. Howard in the communications department. And she was like, they have an event management degree. You should really look at it. And so started the program, loved all my classes. Everything makes sense. It's really funny because I was so introverted and kind of antisocial. So like when I started as a social worker, my friends called me the antisocial social worker. And then I started doing communication. Yeah. Well, I started doing communications and they're like, Bertie, you don't talk to people. Why are you in communications? And I'm like, because it's teaching me how to do the thing. Um, so by the time it's like junior or senior year, and everyone's like, "Well, this is what I want to do," and I'm like, "Well, I know." Like, I was learning to write press releases. I was learning to do all of this stuff, and I was like, "I really want to connect with an LGBTQ nonprofit." I was so supported by the Gay Straight Alliance. I was like, "I want to do this for other people. I want to do
Yeah,
this
it's your
with."
sole purpose. It's
Yeah.
like you want to give back.
Yeah. And it was like, I especially wanted to work with queer youth because I was so lucky to be able to go to college. It was something that my mom talked about, but I was like, Mom, we don't really make enough money. I don't think I'm going to go to college, but I got a full Pell Grant, motherfuckers. So I went. So I did
Thing.
debt free, 2 degrees. Um, thank you. But yeah, so I was like, not everyone has an opportunity to go to college. I sure as hell didn't want to wait until college to figure out who I am or have a space where I could feel like I could be myself. So I was like, I really want to work with queer youth. I don't know how that's going to work, but I have this skill set and I'm going to try to do it. And like literally, I moved to Fort Worth because I was working for the Fort Worth campus of my school, and I was like, I'm moving to this space that has more resources, because in Stephenville there is no gayborhood, there is nothing. Like, if you're wanting to go out and be gay, you go to Dallas Fort Worth, which is about like hour 2 hours away from home, and that's where you can be who you want to be. So I was like, I'm moving to Fort Worth. It has these resources. I'm going to start my own nonprofit working with trans kids, and this is going to be great. Luckily, I Googled when I made it to Fort Worth, and that's actually how I found LGBTQ Saves. And like, I had started volunteering at different places, like I was doing Tarrant Area Food Bank, and I think I did one or two other places, just trying to figure out, like, I want to make friends, I want to figure out where I belong in this city. And so volunteerism has always been where I make connections. And so I reached out to Sharon Herrera is our executive director. Hopefully you'll have her on here. She was hoping to join
She'll
tonight.
join us. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
so sweet.
she is very sweet.
Yeah.
And so like, I sent her an email and I'm like, I would love to work with y'all. What does it look like? And she's like, well, if you come here, we'll give you the spiel. You'll get to meet some of the kids we work with. And honestly, since that first meeting, she hasn't been able to get rid of me.
Love that.
So yeah, like, I've been with Saves for the last 9 years, helping to build this organization. Um, but it,
What's your guys' current North Star? What's the real focus right now?
yeah. So it is building those safe spaces. If you pay attention to Texas politics, everything is crazy. What was it, 23 or 2022 math? Uh, anyway, Ken Paxton, our lovely attorney general, he decided that he was like, well, parents who are raising trans kids are abusing them and they need to be investigated by CPS. They need to have their kids taken away from them. And it was a horrifying moment for our organization. A majority of the youth who do come through who are experimenting. A lot of them are identifying with the trans label. They're non-binary. They're genderqueer. They're questioning, just like I was back in college. And so this was something that really hit our families
Mhm.
a lot. I would say about 10 to 12 of them moved out of state directly because of this directive that was not legal, that was not legislation that was passed. It was just an opinion of some sad white man who has no joy in his heart. But we've been like, that is just an example, right, of the things that we've been seeing here in this state that have made it impossible for trans youth to be themselves and LGBTQ youth to be themselves. I was on a call earlier today where we're talking about North Carolina, Idaho, and I think Tennessee, some of the stuff that is passing there that's taking on the edge of healthcare. But like we've had a trans healthcare ban. We, this past legislative session, have made it impossible for K through 12 teachers to support their youth. So like, even if you're just like, hey, Michelle, I'm thinking I'm going to go by Bertie instead of my legal name. That teacher is supposed to report that student and supposed to tell
Mm,
the student's parents, which, it is great. I, for one, would love if I could bring parents in more. I want them to know about their kids. I want them to know that they have fucking great kids. But I know that outing a child could be very detrimental to them just depending on who their parents are. And so like it's very gross to me where it's like a kid can't even experiment because when we're looking at like queer youth, they don't start with coming out to their families unless they have like a really great relationship, right? What they're doing is they're choosing their spaces like school and friends where they can experiment a little bit, and then they
mm,
can be like, okay, now I can tell my parent if this is true. And we see this a lot of the times, even if it's like, I want to try a different thing of music. You're not going to listen to certain music in front of your parents until like it's okay and you know that this is what you're wanting to do.
it's a great example that you're giving.
Thank you. But like, but consistently, like our organization has been around for 15 years. There has always been a need for safe spaces for these kids.
Hmm.
But especially in these last few years with legislation coming down
Yep.
against children and the
Yes.
parents who support them, it has become even more important. There are other things that I would love for us to be focusing on, but right now it is providing these spaces for the kids to meet their peers, to know that there are adults in their lives who support them, to surround themselves. For me, it is really important to say to surround themselves with safe adults in the room, not just the ones who are preying on them because they are at a vulnerable time in their lives, that,
Hmm.
we're able to model what a healthy community looks like. And that is what these kids are needing.
What still surprises you about your in your work day? Is there anything that surprises you still?
I mean, I guess not really. Right now we're kind of dealing with a drama thing. So it's like, but it's like honestly the first time in 9 years that this particular situation has popped up. So I'm like, oh my God. Because like a lot of the times our community just runs very well. I'm trying to think. Because I wouldn't say surprising. I would just like, there are moments where I'm like, oh, okay, this is a reminder of why I'm doing this work. Like when, oh my gosh, there's this one youth who is assigned male at birth, identifies, I think like it's more demi boy,
Mm,
but is kind of like on the spectrum of like, I know that I'm a boy, but I don't think I am society's definition of a man. And I was like, okay, cool. He wore this freaking adorable crop top sweater to one of our meetings, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, it's those moments where I'm like, I wish I had the confidence at 16 years old to wear what you're wearing because I
mm,
never felt that confident in who I was at your age. So it's like,
yeah,
it's more of those moments where it's like, oh my God, we're doing a good thing. We're here, they're here. It's not really a surprise. It's just pleasant reminders, I guess, of the
I
word.
love that. How do you personally stay grounded in this work? I mean, do you take it home with you? You feel like you're a very empathetic person.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to say like I don't take it home with me. So, right now, Saves is very much a part-time volunteer run agency. My home is my Saves office. So, it is
Mm,
hard. Like I know the past year, 1 to 3 years, I have been kind of making it a priority to separate myself because
good.
like you said, like I am a very empathetic person. I
Mm,
will carry something until it drowns me, which is
mm,
not healthy. And
nope.
I want to be a positive role model for the kids, so I have to practice what I preach. So I've been really mindful in doing that the last few years of, okay, if I say that I'm only doing from 5:30 to 8:30, those are my gay hours. That is all I'm going to be doing. Do I break that? Frequently. Um, but I've also been finding other areas to like to refill my cup, if you will.
Good.
So I don't listen to a lot of news. Usually like my morning commute and my evening commute, that's when I listen to news. I might look at it here and there throughout the week, but I have a very hard limit because honestly, like working with the queer youth, yes, there's a lot of concerns, but also being a trans Texan, I work in higher ed. That's been under attack too. Um, it like 2 years ago, I found myself so paralyzed. I was like, I can make myself go to work. I can make myself go to save stuff because that's where I'm expected to be. Otherwise, I am not leaving my house. I am not doing anything that I enjoy because it means going outside, being potentially perceived, being potentially attacked. Um, and talking to my therapist, I'm like, I'm not living. I am here. I am giving myself, but I am not thriving like I should be. And so the news breaks have helped a lot, putting very firm boundaries on my time of
Good.
I don't have to be working every single second that I'm not at my other job.
That's right.
And then I've been kind of delving into other pursuits. So for example, I'm the vice president of the board for Fort Worth Community Collaborative. We're another nonprofit because where else am I going to go?
Love it.
But we provide a lot of resources. So we started off as a free clothing closet. We've been able to expand to a lot of no barriers. So if you come into our store when we're open, which now we operate more as a thrift store, but we still have free clothing available. But we're providing food, we're providing different resources, and we're not asking you what your financial income level is. We're not asking you all of these probing questions because we believe being a human means you deserve, and that's point blank.
So
Um,
what's the name of the shop, the organization?
so it's the Fort Worth Community Collaborative, and then our store is called Cowtown Thrift. So like
Perfect.
I've
What
been
area? What part of Fort Worth?
West Fort Worth on Camp Bowie Boulevard. Yay.
Good.
Yeah,
So
but
just anyone's listening. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it is like, and I know it's like, Bertie, you just gave yourself another job. What are you doing? But I mean, like, it helps me. Like, I still need to stay busy because I'm like a shark. If I stop moving, like, that is when a
You're
lot of
dead.
those like spiraling thoughts happen. And so to me, it's like, well, I'm working, but it's a brain break. I'm like, I get to focus on a totally different issue. And like this past Saturday, I worked up there, or I volunteered my time up there, and I got to connect people with pet food. I got to connect people with meal kits. And so to me, I'm like, I don't run the thing, and I have minimal power, but I'm honestly just showing up and just doing what someone else asked me. So it is kind of restorative to me in that way. Um, I also run a monthly drag show, or it's a queer variety show. We do a lot of drag, but we're called Funky Town Follies. And so to
Oh,
me, that's like my creative outlet right now. I get to make our flyers. I do a lot of our marketing because, again, my strengths. Um, but then I've been making friends with all of these new upcoming performers. I've been seeing them grow. Like, we have one, his name is Jester Tepish. And if you've been in Fort Worth, you probably have seen their face around a lot of the time, but they just did their Mustache Envy debut, which is the longest running drag king troupe here in Texas. Like, it is so freaking amazing to see him perform on that stage. I want to say what, like maybe 4 or 5 months in after debuting as a drag king. Um, but I'm getting to like build this other part of my community where we're performing. I have shown up in outfits that I don't think I would have ever worn, but they give me so much confidence just to be this queer weirdo that's running around. And so like I have been finding other parts of community where I feel confident, and I think that's been helping me bring more of myself back to saves instead of just being like, oh, you should do this. And it's like, well, I went out and I did this, and you should come with me. You should do this. Like, so I do feel like I've been able to like kind of reignite a little bit of my flame with saves just by like putting myself in other community spaces as well.
Love that. I think that's beautiful. Um, are you ready for 5 rapid fire questions?
Let's go.
Fire away, right? One song, and it's always hard, so you might have like a couple songs, but one song that instantly lifts your mood.
That instantly lifts my mood.
Like for me, it's that Elton Dua Lipa song.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Right?
Uh,
Like when it comes on, I'm just like, oh yeah, here we go, you know.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I guess this one is more maybe silly. Party in the USA by
Oh
Miley
yeah,
Cyrus.
Miley. I am late to the party on Miley, pun intended. But I have been loving listening to Miley lately. Like I'm into her.
Yeah,
It's
like
like she's so freaking talented.
yeah, so it's like really any of those things that just yeah, even though it's
Okay.
like but yeah, that's one that always
No,
kind of
I love that's a great song. And favorite place you've ever traveled to?
I feel like Colorado. It's more of I did a road trip one year, and so I was dating a person in Colorado. I was like, and like we went to high school together, and so I was like, well, I'm going to come visit you, and we're going to hang out. So I drove 14 hours from Fort Worth to Fort Collins in Colorado. But my favorite part of the trip was actually going through New Mexico.
Mm,
This like I got there right as like the sun was like setting, and I was like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. So I would probably say New Mexico. Like my family has camped out there in the desert. Like it's calling me. Like I know you asked earlier if I'm like moving to Canada, but I was like, man, I think I'd move to New Mexico first.
like it. Hey, the Hatch chilies are
Yes,
delicious.
and it's like anywhere with mountains right now is like really calling me.
Yeah, I mean, I live in the desert, so I get that. Like, it is very healing though to have a scope of like, horizon and being able to see. And there is nothing like a desert sunset. I mean, you can't go wrong. They're just stunning. So, um, go-to way to recharge after a long week.
Let's see, go to. I don't know, because like I feel like sometimes after a long week, it really is shutting my home door, and it's like door is closed, binder is off, I'm on the couch with a snack. Like that's how I'm just like I'm not talking to anybody. Like if you're texting me, I'm ignoring you.
Oh my God, I
uh
love that.
but
Oh,
yeah,
then
my
I
little
mean, it's
retreat.
great. You really, yeah, I love Netflix. I love, I love streaming, so it's fun. I get that. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
My heart wants to be an early bird, but truly I'm a night owl. I used like pre-COVID, I was up at like 5 a.m. for workouts and stuff like that, and I was like living. But since then, in my older age, I guess I become the night owl. I can't get up early for shit.
That's hilarious. And then last one, coffee or tea?
Tea, I hate coffee.
Really? Okay.
I hate hot drinks. So,
Oh, interesting. I have
so
another friend who doesn't like hot drinks. It's
it's just
interesting to me.
no
I like both. I switch.
bi-drinktual or whatever.
And then the final question, what does living out loud mean to you, Bertie?
Mm. I mean, like it's just really being like it says, living out loud, not for because like for me, especially over the last 2 years, where like I was hiding in my home and not doing anything, for me to be able to go outside and like even the stuff that I'm wearing now, because like I do traditionally dress more masculine, especially for work. I because like I work at a private university, but it's like I've been going out in more kind of like neutral, more femme leaning clothing. And
Hmm.
I don't know if I've ever been happier because it's like I'm not being perceived as like a girl in a dress. I'm being perceived as a man in a dress. And there's something about
Yes.
that I'm just like, I've tricked you.
It's I
But
love
it
that.
but
I
it's
mean,
being able
that's
to just
authentic.
open the door and not worry, like not feeling like there is like a curtain between you and the world. Like you've actually been able to just, here I am, and not having to like watch your words or anything like that. Like that's
I
how I
love that. I
feel.
love that for you. I think it's like, yeah, you're non-conforming and there is no box for you. You literally just exist in your own body.
Yeah. And like being able to take myself out of that box has been just very freeing, because then it's like, oh yeah, you're just Bertie. And I'm like, I am just Bertie. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I am so glad that we got to talk tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing about LGBTQ Saves .org, and really, really appreciate you being in the world. You are like the rainbow ripple we all need.
Thank you.
So really appreciate you.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me on. This has been fun.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
If you liked this episode, please hit the follow button and remember, sharing is caring. Until next week, stay proud, stay loud.